We just sit with our thoughts and theories of what's tried and true. Let me tell you something. What got you here today is not gonna get you to the next place. And we sit in theory, and we sit in romance, and we sit in how, you know how many people in this room make business decisions on how they wish the world was working? They're sad that when they go out to a restaurant or a cafe, they see people sitting there and both looking at the phone. They're upset about that. They've made a romantic decision on how the world should be. I see that and I'm happy because I realize those people want to be doing that. I'm thrilled that this woman in the third row is looking at her phone. I'm happy for you because that's what she wants to be doing right now. I'm not upset because I'm talking. I don't give a fuck about my feelings. That's what she wants to do. That right there is the punchline. The market is always right, not your fucking ego. And I've got nothing but ego. But when it comes to the market, I only have humility. The market is always right. And we sit in ivory towers thinking we're super fucking smart and we disrespect the market every day, and that's why we lose. In last year's fiscal year, 96% of the Fortune 500 companies in the world lost market share. They lost market share because they're marketing like it's 2005, they're marketing like it's 1997, they're marketing like it's 1984. That's why they lost market share. And I know this because there's only one other time that we have seen this big of businesses lose this much global market share. It was the late 40s and early 50s when the world transitioned from radio to television. My friends, we are transitioning from television to this. It's already happened. I've been here for a long time. I implore you to join me. The backbone of my success that I don't talk a lot about is the fact that I'm so good at sales that I can scrounge by. And that's what VaynerMedia was. In 2009, 10, 11, when nobody wanted to buy social media, I was good enough to just get by, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. But I was the loudest and proudest about believing in this. I had to be right. Because again, in 2009, 10, 11, most people thought these sites would go away. This was coming on the back of MySpace. Make sure you pick that up. This was on the back of MySpace in the US market, and people were still debating if every site would have a 1 or 2 year thing. Everybody was very emotional about investing in new platforms. I had to stay alive. I was able to stay alive, and then the market came to me. Patience is such a big deal. The thing that concerns me and that I'm curious about in this room is, of the 300 plus people in here, how many people actually sell something they fully believe in their heart versus they sell it because it's what they're doing or it's what they've committed to and it's where their money is tied into. To me, this is a very important part of being in the agency, brand, startup world. If you do not fundamentally believe in what you're selling, and I mean really, not how you posture to each other, but how do you talk to yourself in your own brain at night. If you do not, you're vulnerable. You're very vulnerable for many different reasons, but my belief is now looking at the global advertising market. It's amazing to me. When I go to Cannes every year, I'll sit on a panel like this, usually with somebody from WPP and somebody from Omnicom and a big brand, and usually it's a gang up session, 3 against me. Which is usually a blowout because I can slaughter the 3 of them and it's not enough. But they bash me, tried and true reporting, bullshit reporting, Nielsen's, Millard Brown horseshit, fake math. And then we'll end. And then we'll leave. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, after 11 glasses of rosé, they'll see me at the Carlton Hotel, they'll come up to me and they'll say, "Psst, you're right." I find this to be the single most fascinating thing about the advertising and marketing landscape. In a world where Facebook is disproportionately the best direct-to-consumer advertising, the fact that Wine Library, my family business, has moved all of its direct mail business into Facebook, the math isn't even close. There's people in here doing direct mail marketing who've made a decision that that works without spending the same amount of money on Facebook to see if that works. We are living in a headline-reading society. Everybody has opinions. Everybody has opinions about everything, but they're not actual practitioners. You can't have an opinion on Snapchat or Snapchat ads if you've never used it. You can't have a smart opinion, to me, if you've run $1,000 in Facebook ads and have made your entire decision on the plethora of opportunities on the platform on $1,000. Clients tell me all the time, Gary, we know television commercials work. We don't know if Facebook works. I go, no shit. You spend $8 million on a television commercial campaign in production and distribution, and you spent $100,000 testing Facebook. Of course it's not gonna work. And so we live in this environment where people go and play safe. You make decisions. So many of you in here make decisions on what's best for your career in the short term, not what actually sells shit. And to me, that's where all the opportunity sits. That's where the action is. That's the white space. That's why in America, in the fashion industry, every brand is in trouble because there are thousands of little brands doing Facebook and Instagram influencers, and they're chopping away at the big brands. Ralph Lauren's biggest problem isn't Prada. It's 41 women and men startups that are doing from 0 to 3 million in revenue in 1 year because they're marketing in underpriced channels while Ralph Lauren and Prada are buying full page ads in fucking Vogue that nobody's seeing. This is happening. This is happening every day, and here's the funniest part. I know that everybody in this room knows it's happening. I just don't know if it actually is in your best interest for it to be happening in the short term. Attention has a price. Everything still works. The problem is most things are overpriced. For example, in America and the globe, programmatic buying for digital has completely taken over. Why? It's profitable for media agencies, but it's not good for brands and businesses. Who the hell here goes to a desktop computer and goes to blah-blah-blah.com and goes to the right side of the website below the fold and clicks a banner ad? Nobody. So in a world where I put enormous pressure on my clients to move money away from television because nobody in the US market and nobody in the global market, if you look at the math, is really consuming a television commercial. Every single time you're in a position where a television commercial is about to give you something, you grab this and you check your work. You talk about what you just watched because you're watching. I love when my competitors on stage say, Gary, television ratings are through the roof. I'm like, yes, television shows. Everybody likes to sneak in commercials with shows. You're watching the show. You're watching the match. You're not watching the piece of shit commercial. And so in a world where I'm trying to move all my clients away from that, when they come to me and say, hey, Gary, great news, we're going digital, I get scared. Because I'm even more scared of banner ads and pop-up ads than I am of television commercials. So when people go digital, I get scared because I think they're going digital 2002 to 2005. In 2002, when I was buying the word wine and buying the word champagne and buying the word Bordeaux for 5 cents a click, that was good. And now some of those words are properly priced. At $4.12 for Wine Library, champagne is good. At $11, the word wine, it is not good. Every single day. If I came here 7 months ago, I would have told you that I was concerned about Instagram globally, especially in the US market, because Snapchat was getting older, Facebook's younger than people think, and I was questioning where would Instagram play. Instagram, as a lot of you know, copied every single feature that Snapchat had, grew, exploded, and now Instagram, 7 months later, is my #1 platform that I'm paying attention to and marketing on. This is day trading attention. This is not making a commitment to, in 2017, it's all about Snapchat, and then just sticking to it no matter what happens. No. This is, on February 19th, this is the best trade. On March 16th, this is the best trade. My friends, here's the part that really scares me, which is as the world continues to change very quickly, the truth and the rules always stay the same. For example, for all the math that we now have, the creative is the variable of success. The video, the picture, the words, the sounds, the creative is the variable of success. When people hear me talk, it's interesting because I talk about creative in a lot of interesting ways. Number one, I think creative is 100% subjective. I understand why if you're the creative director of an organization, you don't want that necessarily to be true. You've worked hard for 20 years to build a reputation so that you can walk in and say, that's not funny enough, that's not green enough, that wasn't snarky enough. I get it. The problem is the market doesn't give a fuck about you, Han. So creative is subjective until it comes out to the market, and then the market decides if it was funny, snarky, or green enough. But creative is the variable. At Vayner, we are very much obsessed with attention and the platform and the context. How do you storytell on Facebook different than Pinterest, different than a pre-roll on Google, different than an original piece of content, different than a native ad on BuzzFeed, different. It's context along with content. However, there is no misconception that the creative itself is the variable of success. And so the thing that excites me though is that we live in a world, so for Vayner right now, we're obsessed with one thing, obsessed. You give me a brief, you want to do something. You want to sell this, right? You want to sell this. The first two things I think about is number one, how do I make 1 to 7, depending on your budget, 1 to 7 different videos that are 1 minute and 19 seconds long that are going to hit the emotional center of the individual. But not one 30-second spot, because I promise you, if you're 44 years old and make $400,000 a year and you're a male, this brand means something different to you than if you're 18 years old and a female and making $27,000 a year. And how in the world would I talk to both of you the same way to make you buy this? That's insanity. It wasn't insanity when we lived in a television-first world. It was your only option. Life's about options. I'm not mad at people that made TV spots and billboards and direct mail in 1984. That was the game. Everything I've done for 20 years has been the same exact move. What does everybody spend their time and money and energy on? Is that worth it? And then what can I do that is emerging, that is underpriced because people don't have reports to justify it at corporate America, or on the entrepreneurial level, they're scared to do it because they're fake entrepreneurs, right? So for me, that has been the tried and true real history of my career. It started all the way back when I got involved in my dad's liquor store. It is literally only 20 years ago, now almost 21 years ago, which is not that long of a time if you really think about it, that when we launched WineLibrary.com, everybody told me and my dad that it was a fad. That forget about, is Snapchat a fad? Forget about if, Instagram is a fad. The entire internet was a fad if you were really a business person in 1995, 1996, 1997. It's fascinating to think that. It's the same way that many of you in here probably don't realize, if you're not studying the space, that we're probably only 20 or 30 years away from virtual reality making the internet obsolete, and all of us just living in contact lenses and in a VR world, and the real world and the internet world become arbitraged out, because what will happen is our attention will now be in a new virtual reality. So for me, this is how my brain works. To me, I'm not a digitalist over a traditionalist. For example, in the American market, one of the things I'm really pushing our clients towards is actually radio. There's a platform called iHeartRadio that I believe that the ads on that platform are underpriced for the attention, because people listen to that programming, and when the disc jockey jumps in and reads a live ad, I actually think that's a good deal. That confuses a lot of my friends that think I'm a digitalist. In America, if you were to launch a product and you had $20 million to launch it, the first thing I would do is buy a Super Bowl ad, because in America, every single person watches the Super Bowl commercials.